Hey, welcome to Kate Crafts. I'm Kate. Today I would like to share with you an Oh Buttons birthday card. Let's get started. So here are the images that I will be using in today's card. Here are the Copic colors that I used. If you need to pause, I will make sure to leave them in the description box below. And this is what they looked like colored. So next up, I have taken the Lawn Fawn fruit basket and cut it out of some gray cardstock with some all the dots on the opposite side of where the stripes, and I've cut that out too. And now I'm taking some double-sided tape sheet that Lawn Fawn has that I had gotten in I think it was the Giving Tuesday box. I got some of this in there and I thought I'd use some of it up. So all I'm doing is cutting a rough shape of the fruit basket, and I'm going to peel one side of the release tape, and I'm going to stick my fruit basket in the center of that. Then I will take the All the Dots paper, the reverse side, and I'll just kind of pop those in. I wasn't too worried about it being a little off because I was able to kind of push everything over to fit nicely. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm just going to create a little bit of the shadow with the bee marker that I've got going on, and just to give it a little dimension to the bowl. I wasn't exactly sure what I was doing here. I was just kind of going with the flow. And then I went in with this N0 marker just to even it out. I wasn't too worried about getting it all over the gray because the gray was just going to be something to add a bit of dimension. So with the gray and the little inside of the basket, that's one layer, and then I was going to layer the blue paper on top to give it even more dimension. So it kind of looked like one of those like diamond glassed fruit bowls or something like that. So I'll put a stamp block on it and then let it dry. And then next I'm going to take an anti-static powder tool and kind of overkill on it, which I really wish I hadn't. And I'll clean that up here right quick. But the anti-static powder tool just get rid of all the stickies, so it's a lot easier for me to trim around. Now I did end up making this bowl a second time and I didn't like it, and I ended up just sticking with this one, which was my first instinct. Now you'll see me go around here and then I think better of it. In the end, I end up just deciding to cut the top of that bowl off because I was kind of flying by the seat of my pants. I had an idea of what I wanted the card to look like, but executing the card and putting everything together, it was kind of like a trial and error. You know, it was a process as I was going along with it. Now, here I have got some Spiffy Speckle paper, and I have taken a outside and stitched rectangle die. I'm not too worried about that chunk cut out on the top because I'm going to take a lace border by Lawn Fawn, and I'm just going to cut along one of the around the middle, not quite the middle, just below the middle, mind my head. And oh yeah, I've got purple here now. I got rid of my blue. And I've created a border, so this is going to be like my floor. So once I'm happy with the size of that, then I'll just add a little bit of glue. So I'm using a bit of Tombow mono glue along the edge here because I want, like, the Tombow mono glue stays wet a little bit longer than the white PVA glue or whatever glue it is that Lawn Fawn is. I think it's PVA. So I'm just going to go along with the Lawn Fawn glue around the bigger spot because I'm not as steady with that as I am with that Tombow mono glue in that little tiny bottle that I have. So I've taken my reverse tweezers, lifted that up, and plopped that down the best that I could, and there is my base. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to cut out some of the buttons along the bottom so that way I can fit more in my bowl and it doesn't look like I've taken two stamps completely, I guess. I don't know what I was going for here. I just know I needed to cut some of it down, and then I end up using some of the cutout buttons that I used as fillers to kind of break up that repeat pattern. Like, that's what I was going for with this one. I mean, I could have turned it upside down and used one of them that way, but I thought this was kind of more on par with what I was thinking, so I'll just add that cutout there, making sure that I have it down far enough that the bowl will cover it. And then I'll take a couple of these extra guys and just tuck them in the back there so the pile of buttons looks a little more fuller. And once I'm satisfied with that, then I can go ahead and add on the bowl itself. So what I'll do with the bowl is I'll just flip back part of that release paper to the sticky back, and then I'll add just a little bit of glue along the edge just to give it some double adhesion, and then I will add the bowl to the buttons. So you've got yourself a bowl of buttons, hence the "Oh Buttons." I guess that would be kind of a cute pet name. So I ended up sending this card to my mother-in-law for her birthday, as her birthday just passed, and I was a little late to getting it into the mail, so I figured now's a safe time to air the video for it, because by the time this video airs, she will have already received it, so the surprise is kind of, you know, the cat's out of the bag. So all I'm doing here is taking some of the extra buttons that I cut out and stacking them together in a way to where they look like they're stacked on top of each other in a bowl. And these little bowls are from the Apple-Solutely Awesome stamp set. And instead of putting the apples in them, I had just cut the apples out to make them look like bowls. Now, I don't end up using both of them on the front of the card, as I don't use both of the mice with thimble hats on the front of the card. I end up tucking those guys in. So once I've added a little bit of glue and that's dried down, I've gone ahead and kind of laid out the scene that I want. Now, I didn't like specifically how I cut this mouse, and I ended up having to do it redo it overdo it, redo it. I had to do it again because I didn't like quite how I cut everything, and yeah, so I kind of overkill here. It's like, you know, you should measure twice and cut once, and yeah, I didn't measure twice. I just kind of cut twice and measured once, and I wasn't too thrilled with the overall aesthetics of it, so that's why I ended up doing it over again. So you'll see here, once I'm done fussing with everything, I will glue things down. So yeah, bear with me here. It gets better. So this is beyond overkill. So once I've gone ahead and cut and colored that again, and happier with the way everything's laid out, I've removed the release tape paper from the bottom of the bowl, and I've added a bunch of glue, and then I will add a little bit more glue to make sure that those buttons have something sticky on the back of them. And then I'll just use my grid mat here to kind of eyeball where I need it to be. So once I'm happy with the placement, I will mash that down, and then I'm able to build my scene from there. So yeah, you can see the wet glue is a little bit easier to move around when it's just sticky stuff. So that's why I tend to double glue everything when I use sticky tape like that. So I've added a little bit of a foam square to the back of the smaller bowl of buttons to give it a little dimension, and then I'll pop that on top of the button bowl there. And then for this little guy, I won't add any foam because he'll just kind of tuck behind the buttons there, so this little mice is picking up buttons that may have fallen from the bigger bowl and fitting them into the smaller bowl kind of thing. And then we'll have this little thimble hat guy hanging out over here, kind of in the background, like he was going to help, but then he just got too tired and decided to just watch. So I'm going to add in the ladder. This ladder is from Apple-Solutely Awesome as well. And, you know, maybe the little mouse that's tired was tired of climbing the ladder and popping all the buttons in the bigger bowl, and he's just going to watch the other mouse put the buttons in the smaller bowl. So I've got a couple of these extra buttons here, and I'll just put them on the top of the bowl, kind of like they're going to fall out, but not quite fall into the floor yet. And that just kind of adds in a little bit of extra buttons to build the scene, I guess. So once I'm happy with the placement, I'm going to tuck another little button here into the smaller basket or bowl, and then I've got one more button that I'm going to add in at the bottom corner here. Kind of like, yeah, he just kind of gave up, and it was one more that he needed to do, and he was just like, I need a break. You know, a tortoise in the hare kind of thing. He'll just wait until the other mouse is almost done, and then he'll pop the last one in and said, I beat you. So next, I kind of wanted to add in a little bit extra. Now, I have the old buttons already stamped out on the background of the card, but I didn't quite like how that looked. I found that it kind of, like, the Spiffy Speckles was cool, and I thought it was neat stamping on top of it, but I wasn't too pleased. I mean, I did use the gray Copic friendly ink. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. I'll make sure to leave the name of it in the description box below, but I've got the little Fawn mini cubes for the Copic friendly ones, and it's one of those ones. So I've gone ahead and die cut the button add-on, just the paper, so I have a mask that I could stamp on those little sew hearts from the Sew Mice set. And then here I've gone ahead and stamped, or I've die cut the border die, and I've gone ahead and stamped on top of it, and then all I'm going to do is go over the buttons that I've already stamped, just to kind of give it a little more interest in the background. I mean, I could have left it, I'm not sure. At the time I didn't really like it, so I thought I would add a little bit of the banners to the edges here, and I don't know, what do you think? Would you have left it with just the buttons stamped onto the Spiffy Speckles, or would you have been annoyed by it like I did and decided to go over it with these little banner dies? I don't know, I mean, I think I like it better with the banner dies now that I look at it, but I mean, it's all a matter of preference, right? I could have been one and done, but no, I had to be a little bit extra, so I'm just going to snip off the edges and leave it at that, and then I've gone ahead and taken some double-sided tape and put that on the back, and then I'm just going to mount that onto a piece of gray cardstock to go with the gray ink that I used. And then here we are taking a white gel pen. This is, I think, this is my new one. I can't remember the name of it. Uniball or something? I don't know, I forget. It's a 1.0 size, so it's a thicker one. It's not like the 0.8 like the Sakura Jelly Roll. I'm trying to branch out with new pens. So once I've added all my little dots and dashes detail, I'm going to go back in with my Sakura Stardust pen and just add a little bit of sparkle. I mean, I could have used my Wink Stella, but I wanted more of a finer line of glitter. Like with the Sakura, the purpose of that one is more like a paintbrush, like a water paintbrush. And I do like it, but when I need something for a finer detail, I do enjoy using the Sakura Stardust pen, because you're just writing in glitter basically, and I just think it adds that little subtle extra and makes the card look that much more together, I guess. I mean, yeah. I just like to add sparkle. I mean, just a little bit of sparkle. And here you have my finished cards. Oh, buttons! And then when you open it up, it says, "It's your birthday." And all I did was add in those little extra images that I had to the inside of the card to make it cute. So if you've enjoyed today's content or found it helpful, please give this video a like. I also welcome you to subscribe, as I post weekly. Here's another video I think you might enjoy. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Take care.